Hello, everybody. It's Microservices again. It's lecture number 13 or something like that. And we are almost at the end of the course. And the last 2 weeks, so this week and next week, we are going to discuss deployment. And we are going to go to have our services available in the web. And therefore we need to, well, make them accessible somehow. And the problem is, if I run these programs on my computer, you are at your home will not be able to access it. The problem is that my computer is, well, connected to the internet via LAN, wireless LAN. I have no idea which one I am using here. And so there is a router between me and the rest of the world. And well, to be accessible from your side, I need to give my computer a name and to announce this into the web on a dynamic name service, DNS. And then there is, to do so, I first have to buy a domain, well, actually a name domain. And that is, for example, fulip.org or something like that. That costs you about 50 euros a year or something like that. It's not too expensive. You can actually do this. And then you actually have to talk to, well, your router or to the DNS people and tell them that you would like this computer to be reachable via a certain name. However, to be reachable via a certain name, to make this entry to the name services, you need to have a stable IP number. So when I connect to this one, I get a different IP number each time I connect to it. So in the morning when the people show up, they get some dynamic internet numbers, IP numbers every day. And perhaps it's even changing during the day. And so that's not working. So I actually have to configure my router to assign a fixed ID to this guy here. And actually, when I do this and I say, oh, this is a service available to the world, it should be up 24/7. So we would actually, I should not actually disconnect my computer from that. So I need a dedicated server, a dedicated computer that is a server which is up all the time. And perhaps I need a backup. I need reliable power supply. I need a reliable internet and all these kinds of stuff. And so what I actually would like to have is a real server who has a name which is reachable in the net. Then I would deploy my service on that server. So actually, the University of Kassel has such servers. So University of Douala has such servers for sure. However, poor little students like you are probably not allowed to have to deploy services on these big servers. So you need your own server. And you can actually rent these servers at the internet. And the first thing that you would like to think on is you go for Amazon and to rent an Amazon web server. That's a simple thing. You can actually do that, and it's not too expensive as long as you do not, as long as there is not too much traffic to this. However, this will be about 10 euros a month or something like that, or more. I have no idea. And just for the course here, we are going to Heroku, which is yet another cloud server provider like Amazon, or like eBay, or like Google, or like Microsoft. All those big Silicon Valley enterprises have huge server farms. They utilize these server farms only to a certain percentage, and they rent the rest out to the world. There are actually some dedicated server farms that you can actually do just for renting, which is pretty much a business-to-business service. So if you have a small enterprise, you might actually rent your servers for your administrative software at some local cloud server provider. Heroku is such a server provider. I'm not sure where it is located. You can actually reach it from all over the world. They have server farms in different countries and continents. And the good thing about Heroku is you get 5 servers for free. Hey, as long as you do not make too much traffic, and it's very small servers, and they have a bunch of other restrictions. However, you get 5 servers for free, which is great because we are going to need 4 for this course, and therefore we can actually go for Heroku. Heroku also has a pretty simple or pretty sophisticated deployment mechanism. So to get my application running on Heroku is pretty well supported. There's documentation and all these kinds of stuff. And they especially have dedicated services to deploy something which has been developed with TypeScript, what we do, or that is based on NPM, on the Node.js engine or virtual machine and these kinds of stuff. So speaking about virtual machines, so what you see on this slide is the big cube. This is a software engineering notation for a computational node, whatever this is. And first of all, you may think of this is really a touchable hardware, a computer. And you can actually rent a computer, physical hardware computer, but that is awfully expensive. And you do not need it all the time. And therefore, we have first started to run virtual machines, virtual computers on top of physical hardware computers. And the good thing is that you can run multiple virtual machines on a single hardware machine. And so what you get if you go to a cloud provider and rent a server is just a virtual machine. There are different techniques for virtual machines, and the one that you will actually find in the internet is Docker. So there is more heavyweight virtual machines, and the technique of the last 10 years is Docker, which gives you a very small virtual machine. So these virtual machines down here. And these small virtual machines are actually just running a single program. And Docker is known for being very space efficient, that these little virtual computers use very, very little of memory and resources of the real physical hardware. And then you can have hundreds of those on a single computer. You might even have some 20 Dockers running on your laptop. That is absolutely possible. And each virtual machine is just using some 100 megabyte or some 50 megabyte or something like that. And you can run as many of those as you can fit into your main memory. So if it's 100 megabyte, I can run 10 in a gigabyte, and I have 60 gigabyte, but actually half of it is for Windows, so it's 8. I could run 80 of these Docker containers on this little machine here. And anyhow, from the side of the programmer, from the program side, if it looks around in this little tiny, we call them container, this little tiny node that is a virtual machine, the computer doesn't notice, the program does not notice that it is running in a little box. For the computer, it says, oh, I have a full machine here. I have a file system. I have all these things that you expect from your computer. And well, yeah, you share those with other containers, but you don't see them. And that's the point here. You have ports, you have internet connection, you have all these things that you would like to have. So if your system is running on Docker, you have some kind, which is often this whale up here. That is the Docker host. It's actually another virtual machine that will run your virtual machines. Those are nested into each other's. And there is a dedicated API where you can actually speak to this whale here, to the Docker host system, and ask Docker to start a new computer for you, or to stop it, or to update that computer to a new version and these kinds of stuff. And this is what Heroku actually provides for you. And that is why it is for free, because such a little node is actually not costing them a lot. And actually, they even are going if your service is not active, so actually no one is accessing it, if there is no traffic to it, they are putting this Docker container into sleep mode, which is actually, they just make a mem copy of that, compress it and put it on the disk. And so it will not use any main memory space if it is not actually active. And that's why it's so cheap. This has the effect that when you accept this service the first time and no one has accessed it for about an hour, then it is probably sleeping, and then they actually need to get it up from the disk, restart the container, unpack it, and let it wake again. And so this will, the first guy in the morning who is, in the morning, it's around the world. When morning hits the East Coast, or morning hits Africa, or morning hits Europe, or morning hits Asia, then the first guy that is connecting to your service will actually wake up the service. This guy has to wait for about a minute. That's a little bit a problem for our front ends when they try to connect to the back ends, but we will see how we can do that. And it's also a little bit a problem when the backends are connecting to each other, and we will actually have to change our architecture a little bit in order to make that working, but we will see. Okay. So that's the thing. You get a little virtual computer via Docker. Well, actually, Docker is a little bit outdated these days. You are going to Kubernetes by now. There you don't get a Docker container, but a little pod. Well, actually, this little pod uses quite a similar technique. It's even more lightweight than a Docker container, and they are compatible. You can actually take a Docker container and turn it into a Kubernetes pod. That's just the same thing. Then it's a little bit bigger, but that's okay. The difference between Docker and Kubernetes is in Docker, you are one whale can only run containers on a single physical node. It cannot distribute your containers across multiple physical nodes. And so if your name is Google, you need more than one machine in order to handle all the requests. And then Docker is not sufficient for you anymore. And then you need to switch to Kubernetes. That's basically the thing. So for the course here, it's fine to go with Docker. If you are running an enterprise that has conquered whole Europe, or whole Africa, or whole USA, or the whole world, and you need more than a single server, a hardware server, then you will actually need to go for Kubernetes. And then you go for our master course at University of Kassel, which is called DevOps Technologies, where you actually learn how to set up a Kubernetes cluster. And you can have that. I'm not sure whether you will find such a course anywhere else on the world. I'm not sure about it. Perhaps it will show up soon. And you can always pay money to get some guy who explains it to you. Okay, that's basically the thing. Let's do it. We go for Kubernetes, for Heroku. Go away, go away, go away, go away. Here we are. Heroku.com. Actually, for me, it already says, please log in. I have an account on Heroku. You should have your account too. And yeah, let's do this. So this is the first part of the assignment this week. Get an account at Heroku. You need just some email to get an account there. That's not the point. Here you can have fun. So I'm here on my Heroku personal page. And it says, okay, you have two machines. It's a Zündorf warehouse backend and a Zündorf warehouse frontend. I put this machine up last week when I was preparing this lecture. And so these are the warehouse frontend and backend. And today we will actually deploy the shop frontend and backend. And then we have all my systems up just to show you. So I will use this as a master solution and look at, and then we go for the second one. Well, I think probably the assignment to you guys is just set up the shop on Heroku, your shop on Heroku, and then we will actually have the other two set up next week because it's too much to have it in 1 week actually. And then we can actually have a nice wrap up last week. And there's more to connect those shop and warehouse to be done, and that is not yet covered easily. So these machines they have this little snoozing Z's here in their icon. Can you actually see that? Yeah. Okay. That means no one has accessed them for quite a while, and therefore they are not up.
30 minutes is the time when...
30 minutes is the timeout. Okay. So let's actually, well, go for one, and we go for the backend first, just to wake it up. And if I click on that, I get to this administrative page where I can actually administrate this account. And it has an open app button where I actually can, well, actually, yeah, it's starting now. And it's starting now. And it's starting now. And this needs, hey, some 10 seconds. Here it is. It says, hello course. This is what my warehouse backend says if you access it on localhost 3000 or something like that. But here we are actually accessing it via a Zündorf minus warehouse minus backend dot herokuapp.com. So it's accessed via a real name. Come on. And this is what Heroku actually does for you. It starts this little container for you, and it makes it available via the internet. That's so cool on a real name, and we do not have colon 3000 anymore, and it's so much fun, so cool. And yeah, it works. And actually, I can do more than that. I can go and say, hey, I would like to query for pellets. And here they are. Isn't this cool? So these are the pellets. I can actually send these query. I can send a command. I can actually do all these things that my backend wants. So cool. Hey, my backend is running and it's working, and I can access it with a real name, and so cool. Concerning the real name, I have picked up the idea of Adrian. So you shall deploy to these things a shop backend and a shop frontend too. And so it should have shop frontend backend in its name. And it should, but it's your service. Well, formally, all people that deploy a service to any Heroku server all over the world, so there are hundreds of thousands of those, share the same namespace for these virtual machines. So they all end on .herokuapp.com. So this is the part of the name that is from the domain. And then you name your virtual machine in there. And your name shall not be in conflict with any other name that any other guy who deploys a service to Heroku is actually giving. So my God. So how do you do that? So I propose that you add your GitHub name in front of your service name. And thereby you have a unique name. That's the idea here that you shall use. I just see that there is in the chat there are some questions. You could use Docker Swarm, yeah, or there's Rancher or something like that. There are other things that you can use to actually run Docker services on multiple hardware machines. Docker Swarm never ever really took off. The people were not really using it. And it actually has been replaced by Kubernetes. So we don't use Docker Swarm anymore. You can use it, but it's no longer supported. Who actually developed this Docker Swarm thing? And so the developers of Docker Swarm have stopped developing it further and has switched to Kubernetes. So now do not use Docker Swarm any longer. It's just outdated. Rancher is something that we are actually using, but actually behind Rancher, you often have a Kubernetes cluster these days. And yeah, that is the thing that you can use too, but well, the trend these days is go for Kubernetes. Yeah, and that's the point that we actually, I think our group is running a Kubernetes cluster, do we? Or do we have a simple Rancher cluster? I think it's Kubernetes these days. Yeah, it's a current development going toward this thing. Okay, here this one doesn't update. More questions,
Yeah,
even more.
that was only the first one. We have two more.
So where are living the passwords and these kinds? How exactly would the front end running in some browser somewhere in the world access servers running on Heroku? Yeah, just put the name of the Heroku node into the service. That's not a problem. That's easy. We'll see it. There's a question about passwords and security at it all. So that is another point that we will have to discuss. Our access, security and things. So as soon as you put up a service on Heroku, all the hackers of the world will go in to attack it. It's actually known that Heroku is a service provider, a server farm where beginners are working, and those are easy to hack. So be ready to be attacked. Actually, you are not that much a target. Putting ransom software on your node is not really helpful because, well, there is no really valuable data on that service, and you will probably just restart the service or redeploy it and it's gone. However, running a real shop on that thing needs some more investigation. And actually, this course did not cover login and passwords at all. And the reason for that is if you go for Rancher or for a bigger deployment where you have multiple virtual machines, you usually put something like Keycloak, a dedicated service in front of the other services, so that the request is first going to a dedicated service who does handle all the security, and only if who does password management and all these kinds of stuff, and only if this Keycloak or this special service actually says, okay, yeah, this guy is actually allowed to access this service, is actually routing this information through. And so you do not build it into your service anymore, but you have another microservice dealing with security issues and these kinds of stuff. And that one is very professionally developed, and those guys know how to deal with hackers, and that's actually the setup. And how to do this, you learn within the DevOps course. Okay, that's not the default way, but it's the modern way to do it. The default way that the enterprises around Europe actually currently using is you run your service with Spring and or Spring Boot, and you use, which is a Java-based web server, and then you use Spring security mechanisms. That's a basic thing there. But no, you go for Keycloak. That's actually the point that you do these days. Still, here we are. Oh, look at it. Here now, both services are up. So why are both running? Max was actually accessing the other one. And so we can actually have a look at this one here and open it. And here we are in our common service. And I have changed the thing here to tell where the front end is looking for the backend. So our front end is accessing the backend, and we will have to say, no, you do not go for localhost 3000 any longer, but you go for a Zündorf warehouse backend or whack or whatever name you are. Max, what's your or Kunzi or whatever name that is specific here. Okay. That's basically the point. What do we need to do? We will have there's a very good documentation. So if you want to create a new app, this one is asking for the name and these kinds of stuff, and there should be help. Help, I need help. Please do the online help. Okay, let's Google for that. Heroku deploy Node.js. Here we go. Deploying Node.js apps on Heroku is the thing that we need. And here is a pretty long idea how to do this. And well, actually, we go through this. Overview, declare app dependencies. No, this is running an example. So where is it? No. Is this the one I want? Deploy.
Keep scrolling down.
Please keep scrolling.
They're first building their example application, and further down there should be a description on how to deploy it.
And then we go for next step.
There is deploy.
That one?
Maybe start there.
You play here. Yeah. I love it. That's pretty much the thing that you need to do. Yeah. So, but actually, first you have to install Heroku. Where did we do that? There should be something like get started. Here it is. Get started with Node.js. Yeah, get started. That is what I wanted to know. And then you can say, oh, I would like to do it with Node.js. This is the language that we are using, or this is the virtual machine that we are actually finally using, or the program that our web services are based on. Sorry. And view as a single page is a good idea. And here we go. Let's have it a little bit bigger. Now we do not need, you need to install Heroku, and you probably follow the bit installer here, the Windows thing, or whatever you do know on other kind of machine. And then you have a command line thing, and then you need to do a Heroku login. Let's do that. So I have obviously done this, have installed Heroku in the command line of my computer. And if I start up this thing here. It's project menu. That's cool. That's pretty much the machine that I need. I actually need 2 of these. And yes. Okay. Let's get rid of 1 of these. Here I actually have installed Heroku, and the very first thing that you actually then do in the command line. Oh my God. Is this good? No, sorry for that. You need to read it this way. Is Heroku Login, which actually will connect your laptop or this application to the Heroku servers, actually to the Docker Veil that is running on some server on the server farm. And then actually it says, okay, you need to log in via the web page, and it actually opens the web browser for you. And it says, okay, I do a login, and then it said, yeah, it's done. Then actually it checks whether you are actually allowed to. If you do this the very first time, you have to enter your username and password, of course, and the other credentials. But I have done this last week, and so we are in. We are logging in as we are logged in as Zündorf@unikassel.de. And so it has now a token on this laptop which allows this command line thing to access my account or my virtual machines in the cloud. That's cool. I can do Heroku --info or something like that. No. What's about, did you mine info? Yeah, okay. Heroku info. Nah.
Well, you're in the wrong directory.
Yeah, but I actually should do something like help and tell me about the things it can do. It can do a PS. These are all the commands that Heroku is striving to help you. You can ask for containers. You can ask for sessions. You can ask for status and these kinds of stuff. Let's ask for status. No known issues, so it's all up and running and fine. And I can ask Heroku. It says PS, but that one didn't work last time. No, there's something, a required flag. -A. And that one will actually ask for the name of one of my machines. So no, let's stop it here. It seems to work. And then we go back for, no, not for this one, getting started. So we did achieve this Heroku login, and you actually have to go through this and do all these things. Ensure that Node is installed. Ensure that Npm is installed. It should be there. Ensure that Git is installed. Please check this one. That should be there. And if not, you need to install it from somewhere, and it should be running. Actually, Heroku is using Git to upload your code to the Heroku server and then to compile the code and to, generate your virtual machine, your Docker container. And therefore, you need a Git thing. And then they say, oh yeah, you could clone the Getting Started project. So we don't do that. For beginners, this is usually a good idea to start this way. However, we know better. And so what we actually do is we go for one of the directories. Go away, go away, go away. We would want it to go for the Microshop. Yeah, and then we start with the Microshop backend. That one is easier. Here we are. And so Git. Heroku is actually based on using Git. And they expect you to have the project that you would like to deploy to the service as a single Git repository on your computer. So we have started with one big Git repository that covers the whole project, all parts of it. So we have, come on, make it smaller. We have one Git project living up here in the monorepo, and it contains the microshop backend and front end, microtest backend and front, or the microtest thing, and the micro warehouse thing. And it's on the top level and has all these sub projects within one Git repository that was then deployed to GitHub, or copied to, or backup at GitHub. So that's not how Heroku expect the life to be. And fortunately, it's possible but not recommended to well have nested Git repositories. So what we actually do is we go for the Microshop backend and say, okay, I want a local Git repository here. And you can do that if you have Git on your command line with the command git init. And that one says, okay, you want one here, that's fine for me, we have it. And then you say, oh, please say git status. And then it says, oh, you have tons of files here. Would you like to add those to the Git repository? So these files are all within the monorepo repository. However, they are not yet in this now local small sub-project. And so we need to add those. And let's have a look at it. It looks pretty nice. And well, actually, what we do have is a Git Ignore file. That's a very important one. This one has been created when we were using Nest to create this project backend. So it's fine. If you do not have a Git Ignore, something weird things is happening. We do have it, so it's fine. And so what we can do now is a git add all the files that we would like that are, well, should be under control, which are not mentioned in Git Ignore. And if you want to add everything, you do a git add point or dot. And then it says, oh, you are using courage return line feeds, but usually all the rest of the world is only using line feeds. This is the war between Microsoft and the rest of the world. Ignore it. And you are fine. So if you do git status again, then it says, oh, there is a lot of new files and directories and these kinds of stuff that you did not yet actually commit to your local repository. I have a Git repository locally. I actually can show it to you. ls.git. So it's .git. If you do just an ls here, it's not showing up. Damn it. And actually, you can actually, it shows no directory that starts with a dot. So the Git directory actually tries to hide from you, because if you do things in this Git repository, you probably destroy it. And therefore, it's, well, it hides a little bit. So, but you can actually, if you know that it is there, .git/, you can actually go there, and this is what is in there. There is hooks, info, objects, refs, and these kinds of stuff. Actually, objects is where the actual content is living, I think so, but I'm not sure. And this is information, so what is the current version you are working on, which is unpacked in your workspace, and these kinds of stuff. I have no idea. Okay, never touch it. Well, actually, if you really don't know if you are not told to do so, that's the thing. So never touch it. Here we are. So, and still it says there are new files. So what we do is now a Git commit. And you usually have to give a message for that. And the message shall be, well, initial is always good. And yeah, let's do that. Hey. Now we have content from the local workspace copied to the local Git repository in this .git folder. Let's actually, did anybody change? I have no idea. No. So fine. So now we could actually push it. So and we don't want to push it to GitHub, but we want to push it to Heroku. And actually, I have this slide for that. On this Heroku server farm server that you actually have, they run their own GitHub or GitLab or whatever. I have no idea. They run their own server Git repository things. And so there I actually put my project. And that is done via Git Push. And shopping, yeah, let's do that. So what I do is a Git Push. And then I say I would like the remote host. So this could be GitHub or something like that. No, GitHub hub. But this time I go for Heroku and I go for the main branch. Heroku does not appear to be, so we need to do a Heroku Create. That's on the other page. So it's too early. Yeah, getting started. So what they actually say, you can do a Heroku Create. That's actually the command that creates all the stuff that you need. Well, it actually will try to create your little container. It creates your project within their Git repository and some Docker registry things too. So let's go for that.
Yeah, wait. Go back to the getting started.
Get started.
Because if you don't tell it that you specify the name, it will be pure chaos.
Yeah. I'm going to say I know, and I know that. So I do a Heroku Create. If you run that one, Heroku is going to find an artificial name for your project. But we want a Zündorf minus shop minus shop minus backend. So you use your name. You do not use a Zündorf. You can't use it because it's already taken. Hey, that one is good. Fine for you, Max? Yeah, great. Let's go. And then a huge amount of things is doing. No. Here we are. Hey, it actually says, yeah, I've done this. And if you go back to Heroku and do refresh on the page, it actually says, oh yeah, there is a note, a Zündorf shop. You have a virtual machine. Well, it's the color is a little bit light. It says, oh yeah, but it's not yet running, or it's actually not working. Let's go for it. And it actually says, okay, the latest activity was just some version ago, initial release and enable log flag, whatever this is. I have no idea. So we actually did deploy it. However, it's not there. So we can actually access the machine via this thing here. Let's do that. Ooh. And then the browser says, okay, it's not yet up. Welcome to your new app. It's not running. Go for the documentation if you need help for deploying. So it's not yet really deployed. But there is a virtual machine already for you, but it's not yet having content. Is there well, actually, there is a name for your machine at least. And the Heroku says, yeah, it's not yet there. I have no idea. Let's do it. And so, yeah, we did that. That's cool. And it actually says you have a Git repository, but actually you can access this, or you can now use this Git repository as remote repository for your Git. And actually, now I can do this Git command I was going to try to do. I can now push to Heroku main, hopefully. Yeah, it's working. See? And then there is this enormous amount of messages you should take care about. You actually need to read these because it's probably not going to work, and then you need to know what's going on. So it's actually compressing source files. It actually takes sending your code to the Heroku servers. And then it says, okay, we are using the Heroku 20 stack to actually build it. And it says determining, so what kind of application are you sending me? So they are actually looking into your source code and say, oh, it's Java. Oh, it's Ruby. Oh, it's this kind of thing. It's PHP. It's this kinds of thing. And then, oh no, look at it. It has a package.json. It's an NPM thing. And so let's run Node.js app to do this. It's creating a runtime environment. And then actually, this one is important. It actually says, I set up some environment variables, and we are going to use these later on. The npm config log level is error, the node verbose is false, the node environment equals production, and node modules. And who knows what an environment variable is? We will see that on the command line soon. Actually, it's a way that it's global variables that the operating system is setting up and that you can access within your program. That's it. So it's a communication mechanism between operating system and your program. And so we call them environment variables. And this is actually what is happening here. It's creating your virtual machine, and it puts some Ubuntu Linux on that, and then it's actually adding a Node.js implementation to that one, adding npm to that one, and they have prepared packages for that, and it's pretty easy for them to do this very fast. They set up, look for which node version you would like to have, and it's actually set in your package.json, for example, I think so. And so it's downloading, installing the right node version and the right npm version. Here it says it's unspecified, so it's resolving something. So we didn't say it, so it just takes the default. Then it is installing dependencies, so it's going into your package.json and it's doing basically an npm install. And that adds 746 packages to your application, to your virtual machine. It does all these kinds. So these are messages that you usually get if you do an npm install something, and these kinds of stuff. You could do an npm under this. There are some of them that want npm funding and these kinds of information. So I need to scroll it a little bit only, blah, 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 blah. And then it says, okay, we have it installed this far. So let's build it. And so what they do is they run npm build. And that is because we have sent them our source code. And they know, oh yeah, this guy is using npm, so we use npm too. And so it says, oh yeah, run Microsoft backend version 001 pre-build, do some rimgraph. I have no idea. It's actually named in our package.json, has been generated by Nest. That seems to be important. Then run Microsoft build. Then run, so this is actually done by Nest build. And then we do some caching. Actually, it looks on node modules, and there's, oh, I have so many of these virtual machines that are running on Node.js, and they all have the same packages that they actually load down. I already have them there, and then I can actually share them between multiple of these virtual machines. And so I think this is what's happening here, but I'm not sure. Then it is pruning dev dependencies. So it is going to remove all these things that are only for development, which is a tricky step actually. So 12 packages out of are removed, are looking for funding. Too high severity vulnerabilities. So you have bugs on that. If you deploy it like this, the hackers will have an easy target. oops, you should actually address these issues by running npm audit fix. And you can run npm audit for details. We should do that. Then actually it says, oh yeah, npm build has succeeded. And then it discovers, okay, how should we deploy that? I have no idea what that's up in here. It's compressing, it's launching, and yeah, it should be there. And says, yeah, deploy to Heroku. Let's go for the Heroku page and do a refresh on this one. And it says, no, it's an application error. Damn it. If you see this page, it's a great success. And we will have about, well, a dozen attempts until this is actually working. I'm sorry for that. It's really a painful process to get these things really running on Heroku. And it's you cannot debug it basically, and you need to add console.logs to your thing in order to identify what's actually happening, and it's really always taking a lot of time, and that's quite a pain. And therefore this is a full week's assignment to actually achieve this. But still, let's have a look at where are we? So there is this Asendorf shop backend still not running. And then we can see here there have been more steps. So initial release, logflex, this was the old one. Then the build has succeeded. And something here seems, well, there shines to be a problem. And then we can actually see the log. Where can I see the log? Can I see the log?
Upper right, scroll it up. And on more.
On more, you can see view the logs. And then you can actually see the console output of your little virtual machine running on Heroku server. And what does it say? It does an npm start. And so it does a nest start -- watch. And it says, oh, we do not have nest. Oh, shit. So why? Yeah, the point here is that nest is something which is in our dev kit. So that is the thing that we use during development, and it's not in our production kit. That is the part that is when we are really using this thing. And so if you use the dev thing, it does a lot of extra things add to your application that is needed for debugging and all these kinds of stuff. But if you're running it productive, you are paying for CPU time you use, and for traffic you generate, and for memory that you use, and therefore you try to keep this small. And therefore, on deployment, you do not really use nest -- watch because, well, actually no one is watching. So there's no the source code. So watch means look at the source code. If the source code change, redeploy or restart. And well, this is running on the virtual machine in the cloud. And no, it's not, we are not changing the source code and try to restart, but we do it differently. So that is not the way that you really want it. And therefore, you need to go for kill them all. Close all. And we go for package.json in the Microshop backend. Yeah. And actually, let's have two of those and go for package.json in the micro warehouse backend. That is what I did last week, and then there we can actually look what we need to adjust. And so we have to look at the scripts section after all. And it says rimref dist. Yeah, we have seen this rimref stuff, so I have this, yeah. It says nest build, that's good. It says format was prettier, it's cool. It says start via node dist main. That's the trick here. So here it says start is nest start minus minus watch. And here it says start production with start colon prod node dist main. So actually what we do is we kill this one. Yeah, should we do that? I'm not sure. So no, we just copy this one here and put it here. So this now says, oh, run it with node. Okay. And actually do not run it from my local directory, but run it from dist main. So why the heck is dist main? And actually dist is another directory. And this is the compilation target. In dist you have JavaScript files, service.js. And actually we are programming using TypeScript. And what this build step here, nest build command actually does, it compiles your TypeScript files into JavaScript files that are then put into this distribution, dist directory, and there it is packed and optimized for small memory footprint and these kinds of stuff. And that is the one that we use for production. Okay? And so we tell Node, the engine, the JavaScript engine or virtual machine for JavaScript that we use to execute our program, you find the program under dist main. That's cool. Hey, fine. Let's do it. So what we need to do now is a git add all changed files. And then we have to do a git commit -m. And I'll put this in a single line because we will run these sequence of commands over and over again until it's finally working. And therefore, this is the idea how to make it. -m is now the message is I am using Node in start, or start with Node there would be a good message. Yeah, this is a git commit, and then we do a git push, Heroku main, and then we would like to have a look at the log, and therefore we go for Heroku logs. And actually, this starting of recompiling and then actually deploying takes quite some time. If you do Heroku logs directly, we see only the current state. What we would like is to be in contact with our virtual machine in order to see all the messages that are coming up later. Therefore, we go for -- tail. Yeah, that should do it. That should do it. Let's have it. And then we have all the time of the world to do all the things that they do. They have actually done all the Git stuff. And then here it's already doing the Heroku build step. And it says, yeah. So what's really annoying if you have a compilation error here, if no build is not running for you, that is really, I have had these quite a number of times. It's installing dependencies. Well, the good thing about it, you have time for coffee when you run that. There is some comments in the chat. Yeah. You have an API route in your backend? Yeah. We will check that. Hey, it is caching, it is pruning, so it's running Npm Build after all. It's compressing, build succeeded, it has used 38 megabytes, that's good, that's pretty small. We released version 4, so why it's version 4, I have no idea, and here it comes. So this one here is actually the lock that we were looking on via the Heroku web page earlier. So I now have it in my thing, and this is this Heroku Lock. Heroku Lock. So why is it so much? Here it starts. And it has a timestamp and these kinds of stuff, and it says, this is actually what happens when you do this npm start command, what your application is actually telling then. It says release version 1 created, initial release version 2 created, enable, no, these are old logging. This is pretty old. So have a look at the new process. What's the time? 1320.
Release 4.
Release 4. Here it is. Build started by release 4. Created. Deploy. State changed from crashing to started. Hey, that's a good thing. Our starting process with npm start. It's doing this one. It does node dist main. And yeah, that one works. That's a good thing. And then here, these are messages from our service. It says starting nest application. Mongoose, app module, map. Shop backend is running on port 3100. We did it. Great. And it says module init error, message, connection refused. We cannot reach the warehouse backend. Yeah, that's a problem. We will fix that one later. But, oh, there's another error. Boot timeout. Web process failed to bind to $port within 60 seconds. What's wrong here? That one is the important message here. Stopping process with zig kill. We got killed again. So we were up and then he killed us. It's so bad. So the point here is that on default, we were starting on port 3100. So we have a look at this one here. On this big Heroku machine, you have multiple local machines. And here it might be our little machine, and that one now tries to open port 3100. Actually, Docker does something which is called port forwarding, and it is forwarding your port to the big machine where you can actually access it from outside. However, all the virtual machines running by thousands of people on this hardware are accessing a certain port, and you are not allowed to wish a port number yourself, but Heroku assigns a port number to you in order to avoid conflicts on these port numbers. So it's not your choice to open port 3100, but you need to open some other port. But which one? Damn it. And actually, they tell it to you in this environment variable $port. So you actually have to ask the port environment variable, which is the port that I should actually open. So how do we do that? We go for source, I think it's main. This is again in the warehouse, so I did prepare that. And in main, I added this line of code. And I says, oh, as the nest application, I have a special object which is called process. And that one has a field which is called env. And there I have a lot of environment variables. And these are pre-filled with values that the operating system is passing to me. And so I assign process and port to a variable port. However, if I run this on the local host, on my local machine, I probably have not set port. So if I do testing and development, I would like to use 3000 instead. And therefore, this is, if this value exists, assign it. Otherwise, use number 3000. And then I do app listen to this port. And that's the basic trick. So I go for source, main. This is now the shop backend, and this is the old code that we had where we use 3100. I just copy these two lines and put them here and put a 3100 here for when I start the shop backend locally, then I shall use the 3100. And so now that one should do the job. So let's, yeah. So we use this minus tail in the command shell, which is saying, well, we are still in touch with this virtual machine. So I have actually to abort this by Control C. And then it says, really? Yeah, Control C again. And then I can actually run this whole chain of commands again. Git add, git com, and yeah, I should have changed the commit message. Who cares? And again, another time for good coffee.
That's not.
Yeah, you get to become a coffee junkie on that. You should not replace the coffee with shots. That's not a good idea.
Only after 4 o'clock.
Might have a cookie anytime. Again, no good idea.
Then you look like me, that's all.
Yeah, or like me. You can do a WhatsApp call, look, TikTok, or whatever. Yeah, good time to meet some friends. Come on. So how is Corona doing these days in Cameroon? Yeah, the people in Cameroon are usually pretty much relaxed about it. So it's almost interesting. So it says, oh, it's version 5. That's cool. Yeah. So we are almost there, are we?
Scroll down.
Here it comes. Yeah, connection refused is always on. That is an old one. So which version is that one about? So still this is build succeeded. State change from starting to up, and it's not has been killed again. That's a good one. And it actually should say our shop backend is still running on 3100. That's bad. But it's only here. It's in the message. So we change that and do a redeploy. But actually we will wait until we do the next fix. And that one would be the port number. Okay, so does it work now? Ooh. Hello, course. Do you see that? It's working. And it's on Azendorf shop backend herokuapp.com. So we finally did it. We were deploying the shop backend, and it's basically good enough for now. Yes, it was already, I think, in the chat. The shop backend is not able to connect the warehouse backend yet. That's a big problem. But they have more problems, and let's have one problem after the other. So I'm fine with this so far. We could do some query here, but I have no idea what kind of query this guy here supports. Let's have a query for product. That should do the job. Hey, it works. And actually what you get usually is something like that. And I have a plugin in my browser which actually say, oh, it's Json, I do formatting for you. That it's a little bit easier to see. And then you see, oh yeah, there are jeans and t-shirts, no prices yet. That's fine. So that's the initial things that we actually do. One really cool thing about this is that our database is this Atlas Mongo database that's already in the cloud. And it's no problem to reach it from the Heroku microservice or Heroku virtual machine to access the Atlas machine. That's easy. And so we do not need to change that one that is already in the cloud. That's a cool one. Okay, so the next thing is let's do the front end. And the front end is a little bit more tricky. So, but basically, it's the same steps. So I have here it's still the backend. I open a second terminal, and then let's go for CD microshop front end. Here we are, and then do a git init. Hey, that's an easy one. Let's do a git add point. Yeah. Let's do a git commit minus m. Come on. Initial. Yeehaw. Yeah, that should do the job. And we do not yet do a git push because now it's the time to do a Heroku Create. Heroku Create a Zündorf. What's up? Minus shop minus front and let's do it. That looks good, does it? Yeah, let's go. Cool. And so now we can do this git push Heroku main. And again, time for another coffee. So we should start telling us jokes. So Valdemar, start you. Good joke. Max, do you have one?
No.
Yeah.
Just not yet.
Not yet. Yeah, that's one of the annoying things with this whole system, that it takes so long. Yeah, we could actually start preparing these things. So big surprise, it is not going to work. And actually, there is a bunch of things that are not going to work. And the very first thing is, let's get rid of this one, get rid of this one, get rid of that. Let's stay here. Let's put this one in here. I go for the micro warehouse as an example.
I think you have to check the console. You will reject it.
So why fail to push some ref 2? Because I didn't do the commit. No, it's fine. So it's creating the runtime environment, and then it finally says installing binaries, resolving, installing, and then there is an error, installing node modules, 404, not found, registry, npm.js.org colors. What the? So why did I have it? Colors? Colors? I have no idea. There's something wrong here. It's probably with the package.json. So let's have an npm build locally and see what's happening. Call npm. Yeah, sorry. It is npm run build. It does an Angular build, ng build. That's cool. So this is usually executed by Heroku for you. probably, let's have a look at the package.json. Where is this? Microshop backend. That's the wrong one. I need the other one. The Microshop front end. And there the package.json. Put this one here. Close the old one. And then have a look for, that one is fine, isn't it? Yeah, that one is fine. Max, help me.
I never had that problem. Look in the package. What have you imported?
Yeah. Something about color. It's probably this ng bootstrap thing. Bootstrap icons, and probably something in the dev dependencies which should be in the original one. But Jasmine, no. Types, no. Angular, no. Karma, no. TypeScript, no. It's fine. Versioning problem. No, this problem does not exist. We want it. It might be a problem with, I have no idea what. Okay, I have no, ignoring is not a solution. Love Heroku Push failed. You are nice guys. It's probably up there. No. Yeah. Installing dependencies, install node modules. Error code. Did not find HTTPS registry npmgs.org.colors. That must be one of my dependencies. It's not in the registry. You should bug the author to publish it or use the name yourself. That's a strange one. And it worked actually locally. There's some npm install missing. Did I do a global install or something like that? On colors? Yeah, let's do this. Let's Google it. Probably here. Not found. That one exists. There is a registry, npmgs.org.colors, so it's probably a version number problem. And the latest here is 1.4.0. I'm using 1.4.1. So why do I do that? And where? Help! And how do I change that?
Well,
and why isn't it there?
You would have to find which of your dependencies has that as a child dependency.
Yeah. Before we do that, we just give it a retry. Sometimes, just let's reproduce the error. So it should be git add dot semicolon git commit minus m another try. Git push to Heroku main, and because this is already failing, there is no need for a Heroku tail. Okay, and while this is running, and we will have a look at this, we go back for the package JSON in the shop backend. No, we go for the warehouse. And there for the front end, and there for the package.json, and have a look at that. There's some more things that are going to need to be changed. You recall that we need to access the official port. Do you? So for the backend, Heroku assigns a port to us, and we need to use that port. Currently, our backend uses something like 42,000 and 42,100. And so that's no good. We need to go for a port that is applied to us by Heroku. That one again failed. Damn. It's again this colors 1, 4. Okay. So Control Shift find colors 1.4. And there is a colors 1.4 0 in the package of the Microsoft backend.
The problems in the Microsoft frontend.
And there is a Microsoft frontend with a 1.4
and 1.4.1.
And a 1.4.1. And that's in the package lock of the Microsoft frontend. Just remove the lock.
You could remove the node modules and run an npm install there. Therefore, this the package lock JSON get updated too, and make it the right version.
You were quite optimistic on that one. Okay, so Max is suggesting remove the node modules in the Microsoft front end. Yeah. So node modules is where all these things live. And do we see colors here? And just remove that one.
Just do it.
Remove them all.
Yeah.
The whole directory.
Yeah. If you try to tamper with it just one by one, it will just get worse. You will never find what's the problem is. It will take time. Yeah.
It takes its time. Yeah, it's tons of things. Yeah,
it's a lot.
Well, actually, when I do the deployment, I get a warning that I use more than 530 or more than 500 megabyte for that, and that 500 is I use 530 and the Angular application, and it's much bigger than the backend. So what's wrong with it? I have no idea.
Yeah, well, that's probably I think it's the Angular JSON, but it's.
So I do an npm install here.
Yes.
Which is actually load down all the modules again.
Yep.
Yeah, there might be at one point in time, there might have been a 1.4.1 and they have removed it, perhaps. Yeah, that would actually explain the problem here. Again, time for a joke. Yeah, so while the guy is doing that, here it is. No, it's not there. We go for close everything, go for the warehouse, go for the front end, go for source, go for environments, and go for this file here. So the problem is when finally, hey, it's there. Should we look for one for one? Control Shift F again. It's now do research again, and then it is. Yeah, it's only 1.40 now. Oh, there is 141 again. Convert colors 1041 uses colors 141. That's a bad thing. And who uses convert colors? I have no idea. And it says it's in the package -lock -json. Why don't we remove that one?
You will need that one, but you can run in the console. You have the npm audit fix. Maybe that looks for those dependencies and update it and looks for vulnerabilities.
npm audit fix.
This may fix some of the vulnerabilities.
It's still there. So package -lock.json is actually there for, well, keeping track of what I've already installed. So I just remove it and do an npm install again. It's still there. Come on, in the Microsoft. Where am I? This is the Microsoft frontend, isn't it?
Just show them how to deploy a front end, and we'll have to fix it later.
Yeah, but it can't do it because it's not deploying.
Yes, but you have the other front end already running. And for that, you can show how it works in general, because we're almost out of time.
I'm not happy with this. Yeah.
Me neither.
Shit. So why is it still here? No idea. So I did remove. How can he say that? So it's Microsoft front end. I do this remove. Yeah, so now it's gone. Yeah, someone is actually requiring the new version. And that's bad. Well, actually, we could compare the package.json for versions. That would do the job probably. The other one was working. Yeah, let's do that. That's a really a nasty problem. I never have that. And we will use another 50 minutes today in extra. Well, actually, I'm not happy to just show you the warehouse front end thing and then we are done and shop the. Let's have a close look at the dependencies. Let's go down there. And well, it's 12.2.0. It's 12.2.0. It's 12.2.0. These are the Angular dependencies that should all do the job. And then there's 11.0.0 localized. There's a localize. I don't have here. Oh, there it is. And that one is 13. Okay, let's put that down so that it is at the same after ng bootstrap. So this is all 12, and this localize here is newer. That's a problem. Maybe. Let's go for the old one. And 5.13.161 for bootstrap icons. Let's do that one too. That one is working. So I downgrade to older versions. Well, one of those is the problem here. And this is instead of this one. And I have Express, that's coming soon. And then there's ng bootstrap, that's okay. RX66 23011.4. Yeah, because it's already here, let's have this, copy this line here. And I'll show you why it is important soon. And this will save us some time. ng boots, it's before, no, it should be behind that one. Or somewhere. Okay, and I do an npm install again. That should do the trick. And we go back for this environment thing here. Now, while this is doing these things, it's hopefully working, it's so hopefully working, it's hopefully working. You could send me some prayers, please. So now we have to go for this one here. Actually, your Angular application is running in a browser, so it is not able to accept the environment variables of your little virtual machines. So there's another mechanism how to have this. And these are in this environments folder, which has been created by Angular for you. And there are two versions of an environment data record. The one here is the one that you use during development. And as soon as you do an ng build, they replace the environment TS with the environment prod TS for production. And so what you do is you extend this environment thing here with a variable or with a field for base URL, for example. And there you are actually putting the address that shall be used during production to access the backend. So what we do is we check. Refresh. Is it still there? Please, no. It's gone. No, it's still there. Shit. I have no idea. Again, we just try to give it a chance. This is. If it's still not working, then we actually go for the other one. So while this is going, we go for. I was on the old versions. It should fix it. Environment. Yeah. So I go here for. This is the Microshop front end. Yeah, I go for source. I go for environments. I go for environment TS. So, and here you see it says production false and nothing else. And I go back for the environment in the warehouse front end and copy this line of code here. Put it here and say, oh no, it's 3100 if you run it locally. Cool. And then I go for the environment prod solution, and I go for the environment prod within the Microshop front end. And here again, I copy this stuff and put it here. And then it says use a Zündorf. Well, actually, you can't see that, can you? It's Asindorf. No, it's not warehouse, it's shop. Backend Heroku com. So this is the name where we have deployed that thing. Not cool. And of course, it's again failed. I hate it. So why? Okay, we'll find out later. So we go for deploying the warehouse front end because there I don't have the problem. And I'm not sure why. And so there's one of the things that you have just seen, what this warehouse front end, yeah. And so there has this, there's one more thing there are actually two more things that you need to do. We go for the package.json, yeah. So when you usually have it here, we can actually still see that. Package.json. Again, we need that in a split view. And the package.json, where are you? Here. And that should be the micro warehouse package.json. No, I wanted the one. Sorry. Package.json from the micro shop front end. So originally, the start command is Angular serve -- port and these kinds of stuff. That's not working any longer because the ng command is not installed on your virtual machine. So you need to replace that. And you need to replace that with use Node as your server. And then, well, actually you need to tell Node what program to serve. And the real way is you say, I would like that you start on server.js. And then you have a server.js file. That one you actually need to copy. Where do we do that? Could we do that on a Discord? Is this a good idea, or?
Yeah, we can do that.
Or you find it in the internet?
Should also do that. Yeah,
yeah, let's have it in the Discord. Come on. I put it in the Discord. I have no Discord. I start Discord. Sorry for that, guys. It takes some more time, but if you do not have it, you will actually fail to do your homework. So we need this extra time. And I go for microservices, yeah, and then for installation, and then I do something like server.js and put the whole file there. Hey, here we are. Oh, I love it. And so let's have a short look at this one. It says, oh, please start this thing. So instead of using ng, Angular web server, we use the Express web server, which is the default web server. And therefore, you have to install Express first. This is what we did in this package JSON line. You can use npm install for that, of course. And then you do server. So you actually create an Express web server, put it in the server variable. So tell the server to use as static content the dear name dist micro warehouse front end thing. So that is where Angular ng build is going to deploy your code. So it's in the dist folder. There's a micro warehouse folder, and that contains the packed front end code and HTML content and all the kinds of stuff that you need. In order to actually be allowed to use this pass thing, you need to do a require pass, and actually you might need to do an npm install pass. I'm not sure about that. Is it in my package.json? Do I have? Which is Microservices? That's the wrong one. What that one? Parse. Do you have a parse? No. So it seems to be included into Express. Fine. If there is a problem with that, actually Max is going to give you help via the Discord. Okay. Sorry for that. So we have server.js. This one actually, this line here is telling the Express server where it finds all the Angular application code. And then you say, okay, server, if there's a GET request to /star, then answer to this by resolving this. You do it 2 times. I have no idea why. And then you say use the port, processenv.port. Here we can actually do that. Or 3001. So why? I have no idea. Why not 4200? No. Somehow. A port is not yet has been used, but that one is stupid. And do a server listen to this port and do a console log and say up running on port and all these kinds of stuff. And let's change this to shop. Front end running on port. And then we go for CD. We go for the micro warehouse and therefore the front end. And then we run this Git Commit, Git Push thing, which is just the same on this one here. Just to see that it has an effect, and then we see nothing to commit. So we didn't save. Let's do it. One file change. So this is now running this whole thing for the other virtual machine where it hopefully works, or it has been broken overnight. There's still something that we need to do. So here is where we use the process environment port 3001. And still what we have to do is we need to go for source app components store tasks, for example. And therefore the store task component TS, that is where our front end is accessing the backend, you recall. There we do an HTTP GET, and we are not, and here it was localhost 3000 something, and that is changed. And what we do is we do an environment. This is this file here that it is actually exporting this constant, and so we can actually use that. No, go away. Server tasks, this one. Use this URL that points to our Heroku service, and then we append this query palettes. And be aware whether you have this slash attached to the environment thing or not. This is, oh yeah, we have attached it here, so we do not need it again. And this is what you do. And you do the same in the edit add palette thing. But perhaps you just look for local hosts, and where you find it, you just replace it with this environment-based URL, and then you are fine. And so where else do we do that? I have no idea. It's probably in the picking task too, and these kinds of stuff. Okay. And while you do so, this one is still compiling. It's still doing things. So this is now for the warehouse because I didn't need to do it for the shop. Shame on me. That's really a strange thing. I never experienced that before. So is one of you guys have a solution for that? 2 bytes meet, the first byte asks, are you ill? The second byte replies, no, just feeling a bit off. That's cool. It's deployed to Heroku. Yeah, cool. Verifying deploy. Micro warehouse front end. So it's done. And what we do now is again Heroku logs. And that one should actually tell us shop front end running on. So that is the line I have changed. Port. And the port number that we have been assigned to is 50,394. And if everything is great, we are actually able to access this one now. Well, it has been working before. Should do it. Let's go for this one here. Let's go for the dashboard. I said this one is not running yet, and they are both not running. That's bad. However, the warehouse front end works if you open that one. And if you go for store tasks, after some time, when the backend has been woken up, after some time, here you get the list. Now the backend is up there, and then you get the list of pallets that is on there. He did it. Great. And I'm sorry. I hope you do not run into the problems with this failing version. And I hope that if you do so, that Max is coming up with the fix soon. So the assignment is, well, deploy one front end and one back end and let them collaborate. Either the shop or the warehouse, I don't care. And we will deploy the other half the next week. And there are some more problems when those backends need to connect to each other. And then we are done. Thank you very much for your attention and see you on Thursday with your first part of the solution. Thanks. Bye.